How do you feel about being at the 25th anniversary of Esper?
Well, it's an honor. It's really an honor. It was such a privilege to be able to illustrate three of the stamps. So to participate in it and see how much people appreciate the stamps is quite rewarding for me.
So can you tell us how you got to be an illustrator? I mean, how did you even get involved in terms of actually designing these stamps?
Well, I've been an illustrator for, gosh, about 40 years now. I worked at an advertising agency in New York for a while, and when I got pregnant, I wanted to stay at home with my son. So, becoming an illustrator, I was able to work from home and keep my child. So, I started out doing books, children's books, and I did a lot of limited edition plates. But because of the great Kings and Queens of Africa post series, I got to meet Jerry Pinkney and Thomas Blackshear. And I saw all the beautiful stamps that Jerry Pinkney had done, so I asked him, how do you go about doing that? So he took some of my work to Washington to the Stamp Advisory Committee, and upon their approval, I was able to illustrate three stamps, Jan Metzeliger, W.E.B. Du Bois, and Percy Julian. I actually painted Du Bois with a jacket on at first, and he had a black typewriter, but they decided, well, that's not showing up well enough on a tiny little bitty stamp. So I took the jacket off so you could see the white sleeves and changed the typewriter to green, and that way it was able to show up better. So also I was trying to keep them as a set. Jerry Pinkney did a lot of them with a thin border, color border around it. So I tried to keep that same design with the color border, but the Metzeliger painting kind of broke the mold. It was a little different because of that shoe lashing machine. We weren't able to put a border around it. But after I saw Thomas Blackshear's paintings, I saw his were distinctly different. So I was really happy to see, the way that he did his.
Now, you also did an illustration of Miss Hayes for Esper.
Oh, yes. Well, they wanted something to commemorate her founding the organization, and she always tells the story of her meeting Jesse Owens. So I wanted to somehow show just a picture of her as most people know her and remember her with her little hat on. She used to wear a hat all the time, and put a picture of Jesse Owens in the background as a racer. So that's all it was, just a tribute to both of them. I want to make sure that both of them were in the picture.
Well, what do you think we need to do to get more individuals to maybe start collecting stamps, or even realizing, the value of what we have contribute to American history?
Well, I think it has to start with young people. I started collecting stamps myself when I was very young, and I think if you don't get them interested when they're young, it's kind of hard to get them involved when they're older. They're so busy with their things, when they get to be older. But when they're children, they get fascinated just by the colors and the designs and, the different countries that stamps come from. I think the geography, that's what really intrigued me. I said, gosh, I've got one from, all these different countries in Africa and from Europe. So it was just a nice educational thing when you're young. But I think once they get a little older, I think the historical aspect, might attract their attention. But I think that just getting children started with it when they're young, I think is important.
Excellent.